Chauncey, Billups saying if the Warriors don't break the Bulls' record of 73 wins, it'll be a disappointment. Stephen A., you agree with that?
Without question. I definitely think that he's right, but only because of the energy that they expended.
Yeah.
If they had been resting dudes, Skip, if they had been, judiciously monitoring the minutes and keeping guys out and things of that nature, then it would obviously not be that big of a deal to me because you still locked up the #1 seed and the best record in the NBA. But it is clear that they've been in pursuit of this record, that they made a decision months ago that they were going to go for it. They've been talking about it.
Yep.
They've been playing for it. They've put themselves in a position where, they can ultimately capture it. So if you fall short of doing that, then it would be a huge disappointment because the effort that you expended in pursuit of it was for naught. And that's what can't happen. Again, if you were Popovich and you decided to sit guys down weeks ago or a couple of weeks ago and you didn't care and then you didn't get the record, then that's not that big of a deal. But it's almost like, you're training and training and training for a marathon and you never finish. That's a problem.
Yeah.
You don't put forth all that energy to come up short. You understand? And that's what this comes down to. And I think from a psychological perspective, it would devastate them because, again, even though it's going to mount pressure because you got some people out there believing that if you eclipse this record, then you really got to win the championship because you can't have the all-time best record in NBA history for a single season and then go down in flames come the playoffs. The pressure will mount, no doubt about that. But that's a responsibility that you accepted a long time ago, and you were good with it while knowing you were going to pursue this record. So if you come up short, then it would be a huge disappointment, only because of the energy you expended along the way.
I got it. I like Steve Kerr very much, but I'm going to blame him for this. And I didn't second guess it. I first guessed it starting about 3 weeks ago, sitting right here in this chair. I think he made a big mistake allowing his team to set a goal of 73 wins. He allowed them on a nightly basis to talk about it as an easily attainable target. And it wasn't from the start. And I kept saying you're playing a dangerous game because of the energy expended for something that in the end really doesn't matter that much. When all's said and done, all that matters is how many rings did you win. This would be nice. It'd be a nice little sort of cherry on top. But it's not a big enough cherry to expend that much energy, both mental and physical, to try to attain. For weeks and weeks, we kept hearing post-game quotes from Steve Kerr and Steph and Draymond talking about the record as almost a foregone conclusion to my ears. It sounded like, it felt like, even though they didn't say it, when we said it, and we all agreed, boy, it sure looks like they're going to do it. And all of a sudden, unbelievably, if they finish with only 72 wins, it feels like second place. It feels like a silver medal. It feels like a failure. And in the end, it will be a letdown for that team, as Chauncey said. And I'm going to put it in the perspective of the quotes from the owner. You like him, Joe Lacob, but New York Times, they were uttered maybe a month or so ago.
I like all of them.
Last Sunday.
I like Kerr, too. I like
But
Luke
remember,
Walton, too.
I thought it was pretty brazen for him to say we're probably light years ahead of any other organization in our structure, our plan, our theories, all their hinky-type theories, all their Moneyball theories. They got Jerry West at the top, which helps apply the numbers to sort of interpersonal wisdom that you would have. But my point is, he feels like his structure light years ahead. That's a pretty big statement. And,
trigger word there.
Yeah, okay. So my point is, I think they all felt like they were light years ahead of the league. We got this, we got this. And if you don't got this, all of a sudden you're going to sit back and feel like the whole regular season, unbelievably at 72 wins, feels like a failure, like you came up a little short. It's not right, but they allowed that to happen, and it started with the head coach.
A couple of things. Number one, I'd like to say this. I want Jerry West to leave the Golden State Warriors. I would love for him to go back to Los Angeles, take over the Lakers, and save Mitch Kupchak as well.
I'll buy that.
Mitch Kupchak will fall with Jim Buss, and I don't think that's right. I think Jim Buss has gotten in Mitch Kupchak's way, and I would love to see Jerry West back with his protege, Mitch Kupchak, and them leading the Lakers for years to come. That would be nice. Jerry West, I'm sorry, with Mitch Kupchak. Now back to the Warriors. Skip Bayless, I actually think there would be more pressure on Golden State to win the championship if they don't eclipse the all-time single-season winner.
Oh, then it's really
I mean,
a bust.
when we're talking about the Golden State Warriors to the degree that we've been talking about them all year long, if they fail to eclipse the Bulls' 72-win season and miss out in the playoffs, now that's a failure. That's a flop. That's bad. So, again, if you eclipse the single-season record, even though it would be bad if you turned around and lost to the Spurs or OKC, I think if you lose to the Western Conference Finals to one of those elite teams, then as hard as it would be to take, you can sort of understand it. It's kind of plausible. It's not if Golden State expends all this energy and neither gets the single-season record nor repeat as champions. It would actually be, that is the worst-case scenario for them. Get something out of all of this.
I agree. And you know how that could happen? That's why Sunday night is so huge. And I thought it wasn't going to be until Golden State lost at home to Boston, lost at home to Minnesota. Sunday night, I believe it's 7 Eastern on NBA TV. Golden State at San Antonio. That's going to be for some marbles. That's going to be, there's some psychological games being played, but that could be for what we're talking about here, 73 versus 72 wins, right?
2 against the Spurs, 2 against the Grizzlies, then playoffs April 16th. We shall see, gentlemen. Another disappointing playoff season there for the Cincinnati Bengals. And now their coach in a little bit of a hot seat. People are starting to grow impatient. We'll discuss Marvin Lewis, what's next, Super Bowl, and we are already hearing rumblings of a coach on the hot seat. This according to Bleacher Report's Jason Cole, and it's Marvin Lewis. Here's what he had to say, quote, in talking to multiple sources in and around the Cincinnati Bengals organization, there's a growing impatience by ownership led by Mike Brown about the future with Coach Marvin Lewis. The big issue with Lewis is an obvious one. There have been no playoff victories for Lewis, and there's a growing feeling within this organization that this is as good a team as the Bengals have ever had. These teams compare very favorably to the ones that went to the Super Bowl in the past. Stephen A., do you have a problem with this?
Well, the problem that I have with it is that where the hell have they been? They're late to the party. And the only reason they've been late to the party is because they get to pay Marvin Lewis almost half what the other coaches in the league are getting. Bill Belichick's making over $7 million. Jeff Fisher, for some inexplicable reason, is making about $7 million. Only making $500,000 less than Bill Belichick. Mike Tomlin's getting paid. Other coaches are getting paid. Marvin Lewis is hovering between $3 and $4 million. But I've been on the record saying for several years, Marvin Lewis should have been fired a long time ago. I am not questioning the football acumen of Marvin Lewis. I know that he knows football. I know that he's a Super Bowl champion with the Ravens as a defensive coordinator. I am questioning results. It has been 12 years that this man has been the coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. He does not have one single playoff victory on his resume. He is 0-7. They have lost 5 straight. The last 5 years they have made it to the playoffs. Every time he has lost. Not to mention the fact that each time has been in a wild card game. So either you didn't win the AFC North, which is your division, or you were the number 3 seed because you won your division, but there were 2 teams with better records than you. So you can't even get out the wild card game. You can't even get to the divisional playoff round. And then last but not least, the creme de la creme, the culminating point of it all was when your team collapsed mentally and emotionally. At no time out there, Vontaze Burfict with the hit, even though I don't blame Adam Jones because he was going after Joey Porter, who shouldn't have been on the field to begin with. In the end, the implosion that took place, you would think that teams would be cognizant of the fact that you didn't win a playoff game in so many years, and more importantly, they'd be cognizant of your job security. Somehow, some way, you haven't been able to ingratiate yourself with your players well enough for them to look out for you by not only going all out, but doing the right things along the way so they can insulate and protect you. The way D'Angelo Williams and Antonio Brown and others speak on behalf of their support and love for Mike Tomlin. I don't hear anybody saying that about Marvin Lewis. So in the end, I'm not saying that this man isn't worthy of being a head coach, Skip, but if you got 12 years at a job and you can't win one single damn playoff game, you should have been gone. So to me, the fact that I'm hearing Cincinnati's getting tired of it, what do you mean getting tired? You should have been tired. It's just that they never were because all Mike Brown and Cincinnati is concerned about is curbing cost and spending as opposed to putting the best product out there on the field and the best coach.
Yep. Okay, So let's say you are the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yes.
And let's say you are very cognizant of what's happening to the north up in Cleveland.
Yep.
What a disaster that has been for a long, long
Yep.
time. Would you then have the guts to step forward and fire a head coach who had made the playoffs 7 of the last 11 years?
Can I answer
7
that
out
question?
of 11.
Can I answer that
pretty
question?
good.
Can I answer that question? I would have fired Marvin Lewis and hired Hugh Jackson. Hugh Jackson, who was my offensive coordinator, who was right there the last 2 years, who is widely credited with elevating the development of Andy Dalton, okay, and A.J. McCarron, I might add. I would have fired Marvin Lewis, and I would have hired Hugh Jackson. And I would have simply said, Marvin Lewis is a good coach. He is worthy of being an NFL coach. But because he has had so much time here and we haven't won, we think we just need a new voice. I don't see anything wrong with that. There are coaches who have achieved more than Marvin Lewis that ended up losing their job because the organization just needed a new voice. Tell Marvin Lewis to go and coach somewhere else and give him a job. I'd take him someplace new. I just want to keep him in Cincinnati.
One more devil's advocate point. You would fire that head coach after a home playoff game that you virtually had won.
That imploded.
With your backup quarterback, A.J. McCarron, throwing a touchdown pass with a minute and 50 seconds left that put you up to A.J. Green, put you up by a point. And it took the implosion, as you described, of Vontaze Burfict getting unnecessary roughness penalty, and then Adam Jones getting an unsportsmanlike that we both agreed should not have been a flag that shouldn't have been thrown.
Marvin Lewis being, with Marvin Lewis standing right there while other people were left trying to get guys under control of a program, of a franchise that he is supposed to be under control of.
And ultimately, you can blame him for a lack of discipline that emanates down from the head coaching position, which I did after that game. I got all that. They did. They defeated themselves in that game.
That's right.
Okay, but boy, it would still take some gumption to step up and fire that man after a game at home that you should have won against an arch rival in the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, here's your first mistake. You talking to somebody who believes he's loaded with gumption. That's number one.
You got gumption.
I got gumption.
I'll give you that.
And
that's about all I'll give you, but I'll give you the gumption.
Ain't all. You can't just have gumption and debate with you for 2 hours a day. So we know better than that. But the point is that I definitely have some gumption, number one. And number two, as many times as I would have fired Marvin Lewis, there is no time that I would have been more resolute in my decision to fire him than after this Pittsburgh loss. To me, that was the nail in the coffin. The fact that he gets to show up at NFL meetings as a head coach and sit there and try to intelligently talk football with people when the flagrant absence of production has consistently presided over his franchise. It's alarming to me. 12 years and not one single playoff win. There's got to be somebody that can do better than that.
But you can't you can't say he's a disaster.
No, I'm not saying he's a disaster. I'm saying for this franchise, what kind of message am I sending to my patrons in Cincinnati if I keep the same man there who cannot win a playoff game? Why? Anybody else would have to go. Why can't he?
Okay, I have just one small bit of advice. If hypothetically Stephen A. Smith, owner of the Bengals, had fired Marvin Lewis, I would advise you not to read your Twitter after that, because I think it would drive you a little over the edge.
You couldn't do the angry tweets to put people on blast.
Please, yes, I could. Yes, I could.
Would you be firing back on Twitter?
No, I wouldn't, because I need them to buy my product. Meaning the Cincinnati. I'm about my money. So if I need their assistance, or I need their support, no, I wouldn't read it or I'd take it. But I'm not in that position. What I would tell you is, again, I would have elevated Hugh Jackson to coach of the Cincinnati Bengals.